Good morning and welcome to Meet a Missioner Monday. Happy Memorial Day to all of you that are celebrating that holiday, and Eid Mubarak to all of our Muslim brothers and sisters around the world. For those who are new to Meet a Missioner Monday, this is the opportunity Marian Ole Missioners takes each week to check in on our brothers and sisters around the world, to see how they're doing in this time of pandemic and in this time of physical distancing, and to learn more about their ministries and the different ways they serve and the people they work alongside around the world. For those of you who are familiar with Marian Ole already, you know that our missioners come from all different walks of life. We have missioners who are just recent graduates out of college, and we have others who come to us in their retirement. We have some who may serve with us for just a single contract of 3.5 years, and we have others who dedicate their entire life to ministering with Marian Ole missioners, and it's really their vocation. Today we are honored to be joined by one such person, Liz Mach, who has served for 44 years as a Marian Ole missioner. In that time, she spent the majority of her service in Tanzania and is going to talk to us today about some of the different ministries she's been involved with and the interconnection between different rights for girls there and women's rights. She's done work on female genital mutilation, connected with obstetric fistulas, and on a number of different topics. So we do want to give that disclaimer up front. These are some of the topics we will be covering today. So depending on who you watch with normally, please just keep that in mind. As always, we encourage you to take the opportunity to check in. Let us know where you're watching from. Put your city, your state, how you heard about us in the comments box. And also feel free to send us any questions. Our favorite part of this program is sharing your questions with our missioners and hearing their responses. You can put those questions in the comment box, which is either below this video or off to the right-hand side, depending on the device you're watching on. I also want to give a big shout out to those in Pine City, Minnesota, Liz's hometown. I know we have quite a few of you joining us today, so thanks for taking some time from your holiday weekend to be with us. Now I would like to welcome Liz, who is joining us from Tanzania. Thanks so much for being with us today, Liz.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you, Karen.
So as we get started, 44 years in mission, that's impressive. You are our longest serving missioner. I'm sure there have been a lot of people that have really touched your life through that time. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about some of those people.
You know, sometimes when you think of that question, you think of all these people you'd like to list. But I think I really want to start with young women that in 1976, when I came out here, I was working with a group of nomadic women, and there is a 1970s hairstyle and glasses, and these young women that really trusted me to be working with them, and also with Mary Orth, another Marian Ole missioner that was with me at the time. And they were really my inspiration and my love for moms and babies, and that's what I've dedicated so much of my life for. And that continues through today to Jipe Moyo, which is the children that are living in a shelter right now in Tanzania. And here are a few of the kids. And they're children that are running from all forms of gender-based violence, which we'll be talking about today.
Great. For those that are just joining us, this is Liz Mach, who is our longest serving Marian Ole missioner. She's been serving with us for 44 years and is joining us from Tanzania. Remember, if you do have any questions for her, be sure to put those in the comment box. Liz, can you tell us a little bit about what your current ministry is?
Well, my current ministry is actually working for the bishop. I'm in his planning and development directorate. I'm the assistant director for it. I'm a registered nurse by trade, and I have a master's in public health in moms and babies. Went back and got that after I really fell in love with that work here. And throughout the years, I've been working in different clinics and hospitals and doing a big variance of work, some consultant work. But these last about 10 years, I've been working here at Musoma Diocese. And we are doing we bring together all the health, education, social services, and communications for the diocese. And we are running all the grants for the diocese, monitoring them, making sure that reports get written. I've been working on policies for the diocese because very few dioceses here in the country have policies. but we've done an education one, we've done a health, financial, and now I'm working on a child protection one, and we're working on a strategic plan. So that's kind of my mundane, everyday going to work. But my love really is working with the social services of the diocese and the health, and trying to bring that to a higher level.
One of the things I've always been so impressed with in your ministry, Liz, is all the different aspects. I feel like sometimes as missioners, we focus on just one little piece of it, but over your years, you've sort of touched many pieces of gender-based violence and how those all tie together. So I was wondering if you can explain to us a little bit about the connection between all of these different issues you've been involved with.
Sure, there's some major connections, but when I started, I really didn't understand it all. I began working out in a village in Ndoleji, and the people were from the village, many of them born in poverty, as you see on the screen there. And I'm going to focus on the girl child, because that's really what I've been focusing on most of my life here. And the girl child here in Africa can be confronted with so many things well before the age that they should be getting married. They go into some of the areas, female genital mutilation, child or early marriage. Then you end up with early pregnancies. You end up with maternal morbidity and maternal mortality. And then you go back, those children that were born to that mother, if the mother dies, those children are born into poverty again. So we just want to talk about some of those things and what happens. So in the country today here in Tanzania, about 15% of our young women go through female genital mutilation, or FGM. But here in Mara region, where I'm actually working, it's 44%. That's a huge difference. So those young girls then are considered to be marriageable. They could get married, and they're going to get pregnant, and they're going to start with early raising children very early on. So then when we look at child marriages, the prevalence in Tanzania is 37%. Here in Mara, it's 55%. So 4 out of 10 girls in Tanzania are being married before their 18th birthday. That's a huge number. Worldwide, 1 out of 3 girls is going to be married before 18 years of age. Worldwide, 1 out of 9 girls will be married before she's 15. You know, it happens even in the United States. And there's 13 of our own United States that don't have a minimum age for marriage. And we now have 4 states that actually have banned it before 18 years. Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and my home state of Minnesota, which I'm so proud of right now. So these are some of the things we're faced with here. And then if a girl gets pregnant early in high school, or early, maybe she's not even in high school yet, she goes through an early pregnancy, she's much more at risk for a problem at the time of delivery. And that's where we end up with maternal mortality and maternal morbidity. And morbidity is basically obstetric fistula, is the one we deal with the most here. So we can talk a little bit about that. We can turn to maybe one of the other slides and show you some of the young women here in Tanzania. But these are young girls that are at Jipe Moyo right now, which is a shelter that we run. This is Sister Annunciata Chacha. She's an Immaculate Heart sister, trained in social work, has a master's in social work, and she works with all these young women that come into the center. They're all running from some form of gender-based violence. So it could be FGM, it could be child marriage, it could be rape, something has happened in the home, and they come and they come for security with us and trying to take care of them. At times of cutting during the FGM season, it means we could have a lot of these young girls coming in just for the security of the place. And we have to protect them. We have to take care of them. We have to feed them. We have to have the basics for taking care of them. It's a big challenge for us. And this is one of the things that my parish has helped with tremendously. And I've just been so pleased with all the work they've done on it. This is Esther, another young woman. Just a quick story on her. Esther came to us because she was living in a village with her grandmother, and the grandmother died. Esther was going to stay at the home by herself because she was going to school right near there, a secondary school. And people in the village went to the leaders and said, she cannot stay here by herself. You can't have a young girl like this. She will be raped. She will be abused. So they moved her to Jipe Moyo, and she ended up being quite a distance from the school that she had to stay at. So every morning before dawn, she was on the road walking, getting to school, and coming back to us just as dawn, as the evening sun was setting. And so one day I saw her walking in, and she was dragging. She was tired. And I said to Sister, we have to do something. So we got her a secondhand bike, and the kids at the shelter taught her how to ride the bike. And the next thing you know, she was riding off to school and riding in, much faster getting there, and without all the effort that she was doing by walking. So, little things like that can make a big difference in somebody's life. These are a few more of the children from Jipe Moyo, just saying thank you. Asante Sana is our way in Swahili to say to our donors. But these little girls have benefited. They came early on because their parents could not protect them. They have a father and a mother, but the grandparents and the uncles and different men in the village wanted these young girls to undergo FGM, and the parents did not want it. So they brought them to us for us to make sure that their safety. But it's an incredible thing for a parent having to drop off a child like that as the only way that they can make for their safety. Very difficult decision. These are a few more of my little kids. These are a couple of the boys that are also at Jipe Moyo. Gender-based violence can affect the boys. We don't see it as much as we do with the girls, but we do have some boys that have come to us because of that. So we do welcome them also. This is a young woman that actually underwent our program to not have undergo FGM. And she is doing a rite of passage. She's making the pledge that she will not go through FGM in her lifetime. And we ask the girls if they can, we want them to be able to see their parents see that the girls are strong on this.
So Liz, I know there's a lot of different ways that folks can sort of get involved and support these ministries. I think there were some specific days that you wanted to share with us that folks should keep in mind as how they can rally around gender-based violence.
Right. So Chris, there's a slide on that, I think. No, maybe not. Yeah, there is. So February 6th is our UN International Day of Zero Tolerance for FGM. So we work really hard to bring this to the forefront here in the country of Tanzania and all around the world. March 8th, we have the International Day of Women. That's a big one celebrated worldwide. On May 23rd, the International Day to End Obstetric Fistula. Let me just say a little bit more about fistula. It is one of the things that happens with these young girls when they they get pregnant too early and they deliver, or they try to deliver too early. So what happens is the baby's head comes down through the birth canal and she can't get the baby out. She's just too small. And so there's an extra pressure that goes on right there. And a fistula is just a hole. And it's a hole between the bladder and the vagina, or the bladder and the rectum. And then what's going to happen is a woman is just going to lose her urine or her feces uncontrollably. And there's nothing she can do. It's probably one of the most difficult issues for a woman to face. She's stigmatized. Nobody wants to be around her. She smells. And so at Bugando Hospital in Mwanza, we had a huge program that we started in 1997, and we began doing the surgical repairs on these young girls. It's incredible. You can surgically repair them. They will be fine, most of them, and they will be cured. And it's just 84% of the kids that we did, and we did the surgery on, were cured. That's a great number, but it happens because these young women are living out in a village. They can't get into good reproductive health care. They don't have a place to go to that's going to recognize that there's something wrong, and they need to go to the next level or even higher up in the healthcare system. And then if they don't get a cesarean section, the mother has a very good chance of dying. Most of our babies that are born to these young women are stillborn. That comes through in all the research. So it's a very difficult thing. A young girl, she gets pregnant, supposedly the happiest day of her life. She's supposed to be giving birth and having this baby, and she ends up with a stillborn baby. And a few days later, she starts leaking urine. And then she goes through a terrible time until people can help her get to the right place. So at Bugando, we put out messages to on the radio that say, if you're a woman and you leak urine because of a childbirth injury, get yourself into the hospital. We have a specialist here. Come and see us, and we'll take care of you. And we have a terrific nurse there. Jacinta Mkama is a Tanzanian nurse. She's fabulous at what she does, and she welcomes every one of those girls, and she teaches all of her staff that the most important thing is to welcome them and give them dignity. And just to remind all of us, this could happen to anyone. It could happen to our mother, to our sisters, to our daughters, to our nieces. And we would want somebody to help them. And that's what Jacinta is always teaching. And I think that's, when you have someone like that that's teaching so well, and the people will be received with dignity. So I really got off on that one, but on October 11th is the International Day of the Girl Child, and they look at child marriages during that time. And then we have 16 days of advocacy to end gender-based violence. That starts on November 25th. It's the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and it continues on for 16 days until December 11th. And Human Rights Day is December 10th, so it's kind of, those 16 days are sandwiched in between there. These are really important days. We spend a lot of time on them here in Tanzania. We really try to focus on them, get out to villages, get out speaking about what's going on. What can we do to help people stop this violence that's happening to women? So these are just great days to remember. They're great days to remember on Facebook. And I always try to put something out when I remember. And I think it's just important for all of us.
So for those who might just be joining us, you're listening to Liz Mach, who is a Maryknoll lay missioner who's served with us for 44 years, and she's talking about her experiences, particularly focusing on an end to gender-based violence and all of the many interconnected pieces of that. So Liz, we do have a few questions that are coming in about what you've been sharing, so I want to get to those, and then we'll jump back to how things are going right now. Mary Ann Donahue Lynch asked, is there pressure from the local tribes saying that you are imposing Western thought on their culture? I experienced this in Kenya. Thank you for your work.
Great question, and I'm really grateful that I can answer it because I work within the Diocese of Musoma, and it is all Tanzanian, pretty much at the office where I work, and most of the programs that I work with, they're the ones on the front line. They're the ones that are doing all the work. I'm kind of in the background and I'm supporting them. I'm writing grants. I'm doing speaking on it. I do a lot of writing on it for them. I do anything I can do to help them do their work better, because I really believe it has to be the face of Tanzanians out there speaking against it. And they're doing it. It all started for us in 2008 here in the diocese. We have a new bishop that came in 2008, Bishop Michael Msonganzila. And that same year that he was made a bishop, he went to one of our toughest areas to speak and to say Mass. And at that place, he actually got up during the Mass, during the homily, and said to the elders, "This has to stop. This has to stop. These young girls do not need to go through this." And he has maintained that position. And in 2009, he went to Rome during one of the synods on Africa. And on the floor of the synod, he actually advocated for the end of FGM. He is the first bishop in the world to do this. That's my bishop. If he's speaking, I'll speak.
That's awesome to hear. It's always great to see those strong local partnerships with our missioners. For those that are watching, if you do have any questions for Liz, please be sure to drop those in the comment box on either Facebook or YouTube. We are happy to get to those questions shortly. Now, I do want to ask you, how are things going now? How has COVID-19 impacted your ministries there in Tanzania?
Well, all of our schools were closed back, I think in March, kind of around the same time the US really started in. So that meant that a lot of girls went home. And girls that were already in difficult situations had to return back to Jipe Moyo or any of our shelter areas for safety. But the girls that we didn't know that might be under some security problems we didn't know about, we have found that Tanzania is reporting increased adolescent pregnancies right now. And they are also reporting children of the primary school age who are entering into child marriages, which is so frustrating for us right now. A parent is saying, well, she's not in school, she can be married then. Well, no, she really is a student. This is a bigger pandemic than just here in Tanzania. It's worldwide. We're all dealing with it. So that was a very difficult thing. We're reading about Somalia that there's an increase in FGM there. The cutters are actually going door to door to the homes and to bring out the girls that should undergo the cutting. So parents, if they can't protect them, they're going to be in a big issue. It's going to be much higher. And worldwide, and I'm sure you're hearing it on a lot of our US news also, worldwide there's an increase in domestic violence. And the UN has been advocating for trying to make sure that the women can get into shelters whenever possible. So we're just, a microcosm of what's happening around the world, but we have the added FGM and child marriages here. But I really wonder in the United States if the child marriages have increased at this time. I don't know.
We have another question for you from Crystal, who is a returned lay missioner who served there in Tanzania. She's wondering if you can talk more about some of the current projects that are happening at Jipe Moyo. Sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly.
Jipe Moyo. Thanks, Crystal. We're trying to make it self-sustainable. So we've put in a huge borehole that we've been able to get clean water for the kids. And that means that we can have the garden and all the fruit trees and a lot of very beautiful flowers too. So that's a big thing. And that was put in by donors through Marino, and really thankful to them, a group from Iowa, and we're so grateful for them. They also helped us build a vocational small classroom that we're doing training of the young women. Some of the women that come to us aren't able to go on to secondary school or on to any higher education, but we want them to be able to leave with something. So we're teaching sewing, we're doing some knitting on the machines to make sweaters, trying to be as creative as we can to teach them how to sew. Well, now remember, these are the sewing machines that you treadle with your feet. So for myself, I started making masks when when COVID-19 first started, and just to make sure that all my workers and everybody that I know is safe by using a mask, I started making. Well, I had to get one of those treadle machines and actually get my feet and my hands and everything going together, and it's quite a challenge, but it's a fun way to sew. We have chickens there at Jipe Moyo, and Jipe Moyo, the word, what it means is give hope, give heart to people. And that's what we really try to do. We do a lot of counseling there, education for the kids that can't go on. So lots of stuff happening, and the kids are really in a group home, but it's with a lot of really good adults that have a lot of background in social welfare, so they know what they're doing. I just go in there for a good time and be with the kids. So,
Liz, when those young people transition out of Jipe Muyo, what does their future hold? What do they go on to usually?
If we can get them to, and they could sew, we try to get them sewing machines and some material to start, and then they're able to go back to a village. At this point, they're over usually 18, so they're able to make some choices for themselves. Some of them like to go together and live together as a group, as a protective group. So that's important. We try to make sure everything is secure wherever they are. But being able to sew, everybody can use, clothes or, there's just sewing going on in the villages all the time. So that's a big help.
And I know you mentioned there's a short video that you put together, and you talked about how families are able to still usually visit their young people there. Can you talk a little bit about how they maintain their family connections? And before actually you jump into that, I just want to remind people, if you do have questions, put those in the comments. Liz is happy to take your questions about her ministry, her time in Tanzania, why she stayed for 44 years, whatever it might be.
I'm waiting for that one. Right. The families are welcome, but we do have security there, so they have to come in and be registered. But one of the children, we had a child about 3 or 4 probably about 3 brought to us by the police that we were taking care of. And we had no idea where the child came from. The police found the child. It was being trafficked. And so we put out on the news. We actually have some really good journalists here that want to get involved, and they get on and they interview sister, and they put the child's picture on TV. And the mother of this child actually was told that her child was on TV way out in a village in Shinyanga area, which is way south of us. And so the child had been moved through many areas all the way up to Jipe Moyo, up to Musoma here. And so the mother was able to go into the police in Shinyanga, see the TV, and see her child and say, yes, that is my child. And when she got here to pick up the child, what she said to sister is, that night was the first night I slept through the night, because I knew my child was safe with one of the sisters. And that's the story we hear over and over again from people, that they're so grateful that the church is responding in this way and bringing this safety to the children.
Such an amazing story, and really, I think, highlights the good work that the Catholic Church is doing in countries around the world. We have another question from someone else, Greg Dar, who is a returned lay missioner. He would like to know, does HIV continue to be a significant problem in your region in Tanzania?
Right. Here in Musoma area, we still have a high HIV rate, and it's due to local customs also. But we do have the drugs. We do have the antiretroviral drugs if people were willing to go through the process. And, it's a big process to take them every day, and you need food at the same time. But, this is, COVID-19 is not my first pandemic. This is, HIV was our first, and now we're into this one. So we feel like we're kind of moving through these, and it's not a happy time. But I see the people better off with HIV right now because they are able to get the drugs. But in some of our areas where there's still some cultural issues, harmful traditions, in those areas, HIV is still very high, and it's very difficult. I worked up at COAC for a number of years at one of our clinics, And when we were doing counseling of people, 1 in 4 that were coming into us for to see if they had HIV, and these are the ones that don't think they have it because they think they're healthy, 1 in 4 were positive. That's a high rate. That's 25% right there. And those are the ones that think they don't have it. So we still have an issue with it. We still are working hard, but we're seeing great strides in it with younger kids on the antiretrovirals and able to get into their more adult years. The ones I'm most concerned about always are the mothers, that the mothers can be on so they can be around to help raise their children. When a child loses the mother, the family falls apart in so many cases. And if we can get the antiretrovirals to the mother and she stays alive and stays in good health, she's going to raise her children, and that's going to help a lot.
So speaking of ways to help, one of the questions that we received from Mary Moritz, who I think has tuned into a couple of these Meet a Missioner Mondays, so thanks for being with us again, Mary, is, are the items that they make shipped if someone wants to buy them in another country?
You know, they aren't right now because it's so difficult getting things out of here. We have to have a real connection in the States, and usually it's missioners carrying it out, and that runs into problems. So we don't have a good way yet to do that, which is too bad.
Another question from Katie Berlin. What has changed or not changed in 44 years?
I've changed. One of the things I often think about changing is when I first was in Ndoleji, the women walked everywhere. And women were not on even a bicycle. The men used bicycles. Today, you watch women showing up at clinic. They're on bicycles. They drive cars. They've come really a long way in ability to get to places where they want to be. It used to be women walked miles for water during the day, walked miles to get to the clinics, sometimes 5 miles away to go to clinic, and to take a baby for all the shots, the injections that we get, the vaccines. To check the pregnant women, and they all had to walk that. And now you see on the roads, the women are riding bicycles, and I'm so proud. As I drive by, I want to honk and say, yeah, you did it, and it's great to see. And that's a big, big change here in Tanzania.
Another question, this one from Sue Christensen, says, hi, Liz, bravo for all the tireless work you do. Do you have any plans for retirement, and what do you hope to do when you return to the United States?
Hi, Sue. Good friend of mine, high school friend. Used to walk to school with Sue. And Sue actually came out here with my good friend Cindy Novi and spent a year ago, they came out for a couple of weeks. So they actually came and saw themselves, which I was so, so happy about. I'm trying to retire from overseas ministry. I'm supposed to be coming home in June. It'll depend on when I can get a flight out of here. They're kind of opening up, but we're not sure yet. So when that happens, I hope to be in Minnesota. What I would love to do is continue speaking. I want to get into churches. I want to get into parishes. I want to get into schools. I love college work. I love high school work. Juniors and seniors in high school, I can go in with a slideshow on all of this, and they respond fantastically. So I really want to just keep speaking. I don't really want to retire. That it'd be awful to just stop, but yeah, we'll see how it all goes. I'm hoping that this will be with Maryknoll if it can be. It'll depend on a lot of things that are happening right now.
Great. So we should put the plug in now. If you want Liz Mach to come speak at your high school or church, reach out to us and we'll get you in touch for when she's retired back in the US.
Karen is my new manager for that.
The new press agent. I'll add it to my job title.
Good.
So we do want to thank you, Liz, for taking the time to be with us and for all of the years of work that you have put in, and the service and the friendship that you've provided to those in Tanzania. Thank you very much for all of that.
Thank you. And I want to give a good shout out to my parish. They have been tremendous through all the years I've been in mission. It started when I first came over, and the women and men in the parish prayed for me. They prayed all the time that I would stay in mission and keep being able to do the work. And when I hit 35 years in mission, I said, you might want to slow down on it a little bit, that prayer, so I can come home at some point. But they've run a bazaar every December for me and for my work here, and Jipe Moyo benefits a lot from that. My friends Cindy and Sue have done an African dinner. They came out and they were writing down recipes the whole time they were here. It was great. And so there's just a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of help. And I know that my parish is one of the best. And I talk about it all the time out here. And I say, you got to get your parishes involved in what we're doing. They need to be part of our ministry, because that's the bridge we make back to the United States. We're in mission, but we're not out here alone. We are out here with all of that backing. And I am so thankful for everything they've done. And a big shout out and a big thank you. Asante Sana.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all of you watching. As Liz is saying, mission is for all of us. And there's a saying that another missioner uses often at church talks, that some of us give to mission by going and others go to mission by giving. So we appreciate all the ways that all of you watching support our missioners over this time. Now, we do have a few announcements for you. First, Liz mentioned the rise in domestic violence. We have dropped the national helpline phone number into the comments section. So if you or someone you know can use that in this time, please know that it is there and it is a resource. That's something that, as Liz said, is not just affecting Tanzania, but is affecting folks around the world. We also have a very important announcement. We will have a time change going forward on Meet a Missioner Monday. Some of our friends on the West Coast have wanted to get up at 7 a.m. and it's just a little too early for them. So we are going to shift Meet a Missioner Monday to 11 a.m. Eastern time, which will be 8 a.m. on the West Coast. So going forward, starting next week on June 1st, we will be at 11 a.m. Next week, we will have Flavio Jose Rocha with us from Brazil. Flavio has many, many different aspects of his ministry, but he's going to be speaking primarily about the work he's doing around water rights, especially during this time of the pandemic. Water is crucial for fighting that off. We also want to give one other announcement. We'll put a link in the comments. One of our missioners, Claire Stewart, is leading a meditative prayer experience every Thursday, and that link will be in the comments. If you would like to join, you can send her an email and sign up. Last week was great. This week it will be an Ignatian Examen experience that we'll be doing together. So we hope some of you will be able to join. And my last request, if you have been enjoying these Meet a Missioner Mondays, if you appreciated what Liz had to share, please share it with your friends, whether that's sharing it on your social media or just letting people know that these are happening. One of the great things that we can do is welcome more people into our mission community, and that comes through those invitations that you make. So that's my request for you this holiday weekend. If you can share Meet a Missioner Monday with just one person, it would mean a lot to us. I hope you have a great holiday weekend. We will see you next week with Flavio. And until then, stay safe